All right, so check out what has gone down. I am here to give you your fill. I guarantee you didn't know about this, but I'm here to tell you about it because you can't get this anywhere else. But Tim Pool and Kyle Kulinski from Secular Talk did actually have a back and forth on Twitter. They got into it a little bit over um, the issue of whether Dave Rubin really wants to bring on lefties or not. You know, it's been a topic, especially that's been of importance the past few days, simply for the fact that we've seen Dave Rubin being asked by college students at his speaking gigs, hey, why don't you have any lefties on if you say you really believe in the free marketplace of ideas and that you believe in, you know, this marketplace of ideas or whatever, right? And people were rightfully calling him out for that because his show is a right-wing echo chamber. That is what his show ends up being. So here's what went down. Okay, so Dave Rubin sends out a tweet saying, Media Matters, Vox, and now HuffPo are trying to scare Pete Buttigieg away from an interview with me. I treat him with the exact same decent and respect I've treated every single one of my guests. Why is that so? Why is that so scary to them? So I guess there are people who are Pete Buttigieg supporters or fans who are like, "Yo, you shouldn't go on the Dubin report." For whatever reason it may be, you know, I think he just had Cerno on, so I guess that's for some people that was their rationale as to why he shouldn't go on. And so going back to this, Tim Pool tries to use this as propaganda because he's a right-wing NPC machine, and Tim Pool is the Dave Rubin of reporting, and or journalism, which he's not even a journalist, by the way, so don't call him a journalist. He's a commentator like everyone else. He's not in any way unique. So, and I take full credit for coming up with that phrase. I coined it, totally take that. He says, quote, why won't Dave Rubin interview the left? Wah, wah, wah. Then when Dave reaches out to Democrats, the woke brigade has a temper tantrum and tries to stop him from having a conversation. These people are full of shit. So again, he's trying to act as if, this is somehow an example of Dave Rubin inviting lefties on, but then the lefties don't want him on. First of all, the people who are Pete Buttigieg, who are saying, Pete Buttigieg, don't go on the Dubin report. Those people are not the same people who are telling Rubin to have on lefties. It's a totally different group. These are resistance people, which is entirely different from the progressives that, we are in the group that this comes from. So, and then, Kyle Kulinski he points this out. He says, dude, he literally just said the other day he wouldn't talk to Sam Cedar, David Pakman, me, and ContraPoints. He won't talk to any left YouTubers because, according to him, we're all, quote, dishonest, respectively. It's comical. These are the people he wants. And he cites a tweet where Dave Rubin says, hi, Rob Reiner, MM Flint, which is Michael Moore, Chelsea Handler, Sarah K. Silverman, AOC, Bernie Sanders, Senator Warren, Mark Ruffalo, Stephen King, Judd Apatow, Maddow, Amy Schumer, Lena Dunham, Cory Booker, Seth MacFarlane. We'll love to chat with some progressives who can keep it civil. So what he's pointing out is that Dave won't speak to any lefty tubers, and to try to take this, and use this as some sort of a debunking of the people who are like, yo, have on more lefties on your show. People like David Pakman, Kyle Kulinski, etc., etc. And, he's pointing out that, hey, like, just because he's offered to have this one guy on who's a Democratic presidential candidate doesn't absolve him in any way. It's not as if there are people who, first of all, the people who are saying this are entirely different people from people who were criticizing Dave Rubin about not having lefties on. Those are probably people who think no one should go on the Dubin report. We're saying we want lefties on the Dubin report, as well as the 99.999% of right-wingers that are on there. And the idea that this is like, this is a great example of when Dave reaches out. No, dude, he reached out to a presidential candidate and his fans are saying don't come on. This has nothing to do with the issue that Kyle is talking about, which he's pointing out that Dave Rubin refused to have on any actual lefty tubers. So Tim Pool responds saying, the only time I see you guys talk about it is in this context, though. Sam canceled on me last time I tried setting up and I stopped asking. And then Kyle responds saying, quote, the only time I see you guys talking about it is in this context, though. I don't know what that means. He says he's for the battle of ideas, then he speaks to no lefties on actual left issues, Medicare for all, free college, living wage worker co-ops, etc. This is obvious. His show is a safe space for conservative thought, and that's fine. But call yourself what you are. The tap dance is fucking tedious and stupid. And then Tim Pool responds saying, the context is usually like, debate me, and talking about Dave not hosting specific people. But he should definitely have you on. I think it comes down to whether he thinks he'll talk issues or try to, quote, getcha. Pacman and I did a show on free speech, but he opened with around 15 minutes of questioning my beliefs in my YouTube content, which had nothing to do with the topic. I'm fine with that, but someone else might not be. So, on top of all of this, right, you also have apparently him revealing that he's actually salty and feels, I don't know, a little bit pissed and a little bit butthurt about his interview with David Pacman, because David in the beginning does an expose, a stunning expose of Tim Tool, and shows that his channel is just purporting to right-wingers and being a right-wing shill. And he basically breaks down, like, David's like, yo, I criticize the left all the time, and a lot of times David will do it unjustly, actually, funny enough. But he'll do it regardless. But if you look at his videos, there's no question that he's on the left wing. But when you just scroll through Tim Tool's channel, all you see is a bunch of right-wing hacky titles and videos. And that's the perfect test to see whether or not someone's being honest and what they really believe in. So whatever that shows is what they truly believe in and what they're doing. And actually, this continued to go on as well. Kyle says, dude, I could give you a list of over 15 lefty YouTubers, and he wouldn't have any of them on. Everybody on his list is celebrity and vapid. People who will actually challenge on policy he won't have on. He melted under minimal pressure from Rogan on building codes and regulation. So, this is something that is very, it's very, very, odd, to say the least. Now, Tim Tool does say, but he should definitely have you on. So he concedes here that Kyle is right. But because Tim Tool is a NPC bot who is, coded and who is, set up to basically be a right-wing shill and a Dave Rubin, blower, basically, because he's the journalist, he's the Dave Rubin of journalism, which he's not even a journalist anymore, but, he says it right here. He says he should definitely have you on. So the obvious question then is, hey, Dave, why aren't you having Kyle on? Why aren't you having David Pacman on? Why aren't you having ContraPoints on? Why aren't you having any of these fucking people on? When you talk about just straight up like an exodus of every single person who is any single one of Dave Rubin's peers, right? Kyle Kulinski, David Pacman, Anna Kasparian, Sam Cedar, Michael Brooks, every single one of them, not a single one of them you'll have on. And so what you do is you invite these people, to come on your show, and that's what you end up getting. You know what I'm saying? So, and again, I also want to point out once again that the people here who, like, these people who are sending these out, these people are not people who are calling for Dave Rubin to bring on leftists. So it's a group, this random guy, these people who are obscure workers at HuffPost or whatever, with people like myself who make videos on Dave Rubin telling him to have leftists on, people like Sam Cedar, David Pacman, Kyle Kulinski, and all the people who are saying, hey, have me on, idiot. ContraPoint saying that too. And they don't even say it like idiot. They actually say it respectfully, especially David Pacman, saying he's never really been disrespectful in his life, you know what I'm saying? So to group together these people and the people who want to bring on lefties is seriously dishonest. So when it comes from someone like this, where he's trying to imply that it's somehow our fault that Pete Buttigieg fans or a couple of people who work at Media Matters or Vox or HuffPost, that we are responsible for those people about a presidential candidate coming on your show is entirely ridiculous, and it doesn't make any sense, because we have no responsibility over those people, because it's none of us who are saying that. It's not a Sam Cedar fan. It's not a Anna Kasparian fan. It's not a Kyle Kulinski fan. It's not a David Pacman fan. It's not a progressive. It's just some, neoliberal shills working at Vox or HuffPo or whatever it is. And so, when you say this kind of a thing, again, man, there's something wrong with Tim Pool. There's a problem with this guy. There's something wrong with this guy. there's legitimately something wrong with this guy. I don't know what it is, because I genuinely don't know how you can see somebody just work so hard around the clock 24/7 to do backflips, mental gymnastics, physical gymnastics in order to support and to shill for the right wing. I have never seen anybody like this in my entire life, okay? And again, I want to repeat, and this is what makes it even worse, is when he concedes. He concedes, but he still keeps his main point. And it's like, wow, dude, that's crazy. You know, he says it right here, but he should definitely have you on. That's what he says. That's what he says right there. So you're talking about, it's just insane, man. But Tim Pool sucks big time. He's a tool, of course. Kyle is 100% right. Obviously, very obviously, right? But do let me know your thoughts on this down below. I'm very curious, because this is a very interesting back and forth.